One. What's up, everyone? Welcome to a special Monday episode of the TSV Sports Show. I'm your host, Daniel Archuleta, alongside my TSV Sports writers, Steven Risotto, Alvin Chang, Jasper Lindsay, and Marco Milani. Crazy weekend in sports. Let's hop right into it. Week 7 of the NFL gave us a lot of crazy endings in the 10 o'clock window. Starting with the Steelers-Titans, 27-24. Steelers remain undefeated. They're the last undefeated team in the NFL, but we'll talk about why they are later on. And then even with the Browns and Bengals game, them winning 37-34, the Browns now at 5-2. And even the Lions and Falcons game came down to the last play with the Lions coming out 23-22. Jasper, what was possibly the game that caught your attention towards the end?
I mean, honestly, for me, it was the Cincinnati-Cleveland game because you got to see two young quarterbacks just battle it out. And one of the biggest things when I watch Cincinnati is I just think, how good is Joe Burrow going to be once he gets an actual offensive line? Like, this guy is putting up 3 touchdowns, a rushing touchdown, with defensive ends in his face all game. And he's getting receivers involved that we've never even heard of. And then as for Baker, I mean, obviously losing Odell, that stank. But he threw 4 touchdowns and he looked good. It's probably the first time since his rookie year that I thought he looked really good. And he looks like a leader, and that's important for the Browns, who now they have lost Odell and Nick Chubb are lacking a little bit of leadership.
Yeah, they're missing a lot of offensive weapons now. Hopefully they still have enough, though, with, Jarvis Landry out there. Out of all people, Donovan Peoples-Jones emerged yesterday. Who would have thought? And then, they still have Kareem Hunt. But even like with their schedule in the upcoming weeks, very easy games. You can't guarantee wins in the NFL, but next week they are home against the Raiders. That can go any way, given the Raiders' track record. But at 5-2, the Browns do definitely look good. Any chance they can contend with the Steelers and the Ravens to win the AFC North?
No, I think you may see them sneak in, but that division is pretty stacked. I mean, you saw last week the Steelers just wiped the floor with them. So they're one of those teams where they'll beat up on bad teams, but I just don't see them winning meaningful games down the stretch.
Yeah, that's right. Another thing, too, Steelers-Ravens, they do play this upcoming week. Very intriguing game. We'll see if that gets flexed to Sunday night or not. Let's talk now some Sunday night football. Just game of the weekend, and it was just crazy from the entire start. You had that Buda Baker interception, but DK Metcalf ran him all the way down. And then just the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter going into overtime, I think remember seeing it somewhere. Seattle had a 99% chance of winning the game. Somehow they blew it, but now with their loss, Pittsburgh is the last undefeated team at 6-0. Turn it over now to Marco. Seattle, Arizona. What was your takeaways from that game?
Russell Wilson may have screwed me in fantasy. That's the first thing, because I was playing against him, and I am now down 20 points going into tonight. So thanks, Russ. But another thing, that was just a crazy game in every single situation. Russ was, of course, firing on all cylinders yet again. Kyler Murray is looking like a generational talent. He's looking really good. DeAndre Hopkins is looking like the Cardinals definitely won that trade. And then, yeah, it was just a crazy, crazy, crazy game. And then, of course, DK Metcalf running after Buda Baker trying to catch him. Anybody know what he ran at the combine when he was drafted? Because that was just insane.
He was ridiculously slow at the combine.
Yeah, I remember he caught all the eyes because of it, the pictures of him just looking massive and big and all that. And then, he did the bench press and really turned eyes there. But I don't remember his 40 being all that at the combine. But, yeah, I mean, if you're touching 22 miles per hour to catch someone down who pretty much all has the end zone in front of him. It's very impressive. He learned from his mistakes in Seattle where he got the ball knocked out of him right before the goal line. But let's talk a little bit more Arizona here. Kyler Murray now leading this team to 5-2. I mean, they beat the Niners week 1. That might have a little bit to do about it, given that it was week 1. Niners had a little bit of offensive troubles in that game. But now beating Seattle at home, what else more can we say about this Arizona team? Steven, do you have anything?
Yeah, I thought they were missing a lot defensively, but that didn't stop them. They still forced the overtime, of course. And going into it, I didn't think that they'd be a good matchup. The defense, I didn't think they'd be a good matchup against Russell Wilson. But honestly, the pick to set up the field goal was the biggest play in the game for me. So that was my takeaway. I think Kyler, there wasn't a lot of run in the game plan for the Cardinals. Kyler did some himself. But yeah, you guys are right. There's going to be a ton of big time NFC matchups coming up, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, especially this upcoming weekend. You had the Niners playing the Seahawks. A win for the Niners, they would only just be a game out of the NFC West. But even then, is there any possibility that all 4 of those teams make the playoffs, given the extra playoff spot now in both conferences? It certainly might happen. I mean, I was looking at it yesterday. Realistically, the NFC East is not putting out 2 playoff teams, especially in the wild card. In the North, you might have the Lions, maybe the Bears. And then if you look in the South, that might be the only competition that might give the NFC West a run for its money in terms of an extra wild card team, given you have the Bucks, possibly even the Panthers once McCaffrey comes back. Time will only tell. But yeah, the NFC West is just loaded. Any divisional matchup you have this year is in 2 games in some sort of way. And Seattle, they're not out of the woods just yet. Everyone's talking about, the Niners got to go there. No, Seattle has to play them. And it goes both ways too. But the NFC West, just keep whatever games they're playing, you got to watch them. It's must-see TV. Let's talk some World Series now. The Dodgers are currently up 3-2 in the series. Who knows? They maybe could have won the series last night, given how Game 4 went down. Let's talk to Alvin now for the first time today. What have you seen so far out of the World Series?
I think, first of all, I'm going to talk about the Game 4 last play. So when everybody, like Kelly Jensen, blown save in Game 4 is wild. A lot of people blame that Jensen fell back up the home plate after Will Smith missed the catch. But at the same time, I have a different thought. Well, first of all, Chris Taylor missed the catch in first spot. So when he grabbed the ball second time, throw to infield, it gives Rosarena time to run back to home plate. Then secondly, when Max Muncy caught up the pass in the middle, then threw the ball to Will Smith's right-hand side. But instead, he should throw the ball to left-hand side. So when Smith catches the ball, he has to turn his body, move his glove to left side in order to tag the runner home. So I think this is the big mistake. And the third mistake, definitely Will Smith. So Will Smith missed the catch. At that moment, he only thinks a Rosarena is coming home, but he didn't focus on catching the ball. So I would say even Kelly Jensen back up behind the home plate, he would stand in the left-hand side of the catcher. Smith missed the catch, so the ball goes to the right-hand side. Even Jensen grabbed immediately, throw to Smith, but it's too late. So I think when everyone, blame Kelly Jensen, yes, he kind of mad, he kind of, very disappointed, at the first time. But overall, I think like fans should not blame him. And on Dodgers, I think they did a great job defensively. Well, Clayton Kershaw had a great performance in Game 1 and Game 5. In this two games, with a total 11-2 inning, along with 14 strikeout, only giving 3 runs. And people always say that he has a different performance between regular season and postseason, but now he proved himself he's the best pitcher in the Dodgers. And also offensively, Corey Seager still fire in the World Series. Plus, Justin Turner and Max Muncy crushed Rays pitcher on Game 4 and Game 5. And talk to the Rays. I think, Blake Snell did a great job in Game 2. So I think he has to give his best on Game 6 to help his team extend the series to Game 7. And offensively, Rosarina is still hot in the World Series. In the postseason, he has 9 home runs, and in World Series, he has 2. And at the same time, I gotta say, Rays has too many left on base. In Game 4 and Game 5, with an average 16 left on base, I think that's too much. And I wish the series goes to Game 7. If there's a Game 7, I think, definitely Walker Buehler versus Charlie Morton. And I will go for the Rays.
Yeah, you nailed it on the head there. The only thing maybe about the Dodgers about Game 6 is they are going with their bullpen game. No telling how that might go compared to the Rays. They're throwing Blake Snell, and he absolutely shut them down in Game 2. Steven, any chance the Rays can possibly come back and take this, or are you seeing the Dodgers winning the World Series?
I want it to go to 7. I think that, the bullpen game, I mean, they're going to it's really risky to do it this late in the series, in my opinion. I think the pitching was kind of mismatched with Urias going in Game 7 of the championship series. But this Dodger team, I thought originally going in, I'm like, oh, Dodgers in 5. But this Rays team has kept up, and I think a big reason why is because of their pitching, because of their bullpen. It's not a lot of household names, Fairbanks, Castillo. These guys, they brought in Sheriff, I think. They brought in all these guys, and nobody really knows who they are, but they're just statistically monsters. And, just to go back on Game 4, that Game 4 finish, it was probably one of the most craziest World Series finishes I've ever seen. It reminded me a lot of Will Middlebrooks when he obstructed in 2013. Kind of the same, not the same reaction per se, but the same kind of turn of events that went down. But just to go on to Alvin's point about Kenley Jansen, I do want to be critical of Kenley Jansen, not because he blew the game, but because of the way he acted on the field and after the game. So he walks the winning run, or he gives up a single, walks the winning run, and then surrenders the walk-off knock. By the way, Brett Phillips, great story, by the way. And I know we might have something about that coming up pretty soon. But Kenley Jansen not backing up home plate, would it have made a difference? I don't know. But he never gave his team the opportunity to see if it would have made a difference. Because I know as a pitcher in high school, that was the first thing that we learned was the backup home plate. I mean, after you throw the pitch, you're supposed to become a fielder. In that specific play, there's so much going on. I don't know if Kenley Jansen's head was in it, but the problem I have is to take zero responsibility after the game. He said something like, I think he told a reporter, I didn't give up one hard hit ball, or, it doesn't matter. To have the audacity to show up your teammates like that and make those kind of comments is crazy. So I lost a lot of respect there. But as for the next couple nights, I'm excited. I'm excited for Game 6. Blake Snell's such a fun watch. And I think the Dodgers bullpen, has to really lay down the groundworks if they want to win it. But then again, the Rays, Blake Snell, this Dodgers offense is hot with Turner, as Alvin mentioned, Turner, Seager, Bellinger's no joke. All these guys, it's such a deep lineup. So hopefully it goes 7, but we'll see what happens with this bullpen game.
Yeah, we'll see if Justin Turner can give another first inning home run and really set the tone that way. All right, let's finish off this episode with college football. Normally we do it after NFL. Kind of butchered that on my end. We turn it now to Jasper and Marco. What did you guys see? I mean, the return of the Big Ten was great. You had that Penn State-Indiana game that was just crazy. Just crazy in every which way. So I turn it over to you guys now. What did you guys see this weekend in college football?
All right. Well, this was one of the crazier weekends in college football. So I'm going to start with the SEC. And with the SEC, there's really only 4 teams that are competing. It's a mess. The rest is a mess. You got Georgia, who once they start JT Daniels, I will drop them from frauds to fraudulent, because that way they'll have a way to beat Bama. You have Bama, but they just lost Jordan Waddle for the year. So that's going to be an interesting storyline to see, but they'll just plug in another 5-star recruit and dominate. Texas A&M, they can't beat Bama, but they can beat the rest and maybe sneak into the playoffs. And Florida, because Kyle Trask and Pitts are electric. And, yeah, the rest is a mess. I mean, Tennessee is just a wreck. Jeremy Pruitt needs to be fired as soon as possible. Moving on to the Big Ten, Ohio State is as advertised. Justin Fields is awesome. Wisconsin is the best in the West, but Graham Mertz just got the cocoa, so we'll see how that works. And then for the Penn State game and what happened with the stretch, people are going to be quick to say Penn State's bad. Penn State isn't bad. Indiana's just really good. This is a program on the rise, and you're going to see them continue to beat some teams that you wouldn't normally see. And finishing off with the Big 12 before we get into the Michigan-Minnesota game, it is a weird season for the Big 12. I hate seeing Texas unranked. I don't know what's up with that. And Oklahoma State is their best chance at getting in the playoffs now. We kind of saw a Big 12 championship preview with Iowa State versus OSU, and OSU, I think, looks the best in the Big 12. Moved on to Michigan, Minnesota. I'll start with this. For all the hype surrounding and questions surrounding this team, this game was all about defense. I thought Michigan played really well on the defensive side. Minnesota, too. That helped them stay in the game for a while longer. Michigan, as I was watching this game, I was like, I went through stages watching Michigan. I was like, okay, Michigan looks competent this year. Jim Harbaugh doesn't have the khakis on. He's got some real pants on, no cleats. Jim Harbaugh's looking spiffy on the sideline. I don't think they're beat Ohio State good, but I think they're definitely moving in the right direction. And, Joe Milton's electric. So I'll turn it over to Marco now to finish up with that.
Yeah, you were saying about Jim Harbaugh. There was a lot of scrutiny on him the last couple of years because he wasn't really leading Michigan to really doing anything. That he was a bust of a coach for Michigan. That he should go back to the NFL. Yada yada yada. But I think this game really showed us really what Jim Harbaugh can do. I mean, Joe Milton, 15 for 22, 225 yards and a touchdown. Really good on the rushing side, too. Haskins with 6 carries for 82 yards and 2 touchdowns. But, Michigan, like you said, is competent. And if Jim Harbaugh can keep coaching the way he's coaching, I think Michigan will have a nice spot in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing Michigan State next weekend, and they looked like an absolute mess against Rutgers. Whenever you lose to Rutgers, that's a sign that your program needs to take a nice step back and look in the mirror and just talk life over for a little bit. So expect Michigan to just absolutely run the table on them. And that does it for my college football corner.
Yeah, you mentioned one thing I took from that is Penn State. They're not bad. However, they play Ohio State this weekend at home, 13-point underdog. So we'll see how that goes.
They'll be competitive.
Yeah, it will be competitive, no doubt. It's just, no fans normally have, the whiteout.
Oh, yeah.
You won't get that this year.
Happy
just stuff, it's those little things that you miss out most about college football. The whiteout, the big house will be completely empty this weekend, which will be something. college football, man. What can you say?
College football, man.
Yeah, and that'll do it for us this week on the TSV Sports Show. Make sure if you haven't voted already to go out and vote by mail. Voting centers throughout San Mateo County. Go out and do it. We'll be doing it next week. And make sure to follow the Skyline View on Twitter and Instagram at the Skyline View. And we'll see you guys next week on the TSV Sports Show.